I always planned to do this. This was like my life goal.
I played baseball, basketball, football, hockey, soccer, everything. I literally, every morning, I ate sports for breakfast. I wanted to be a professional athlete, and then, of course, I capped out at 5'9" and 150 pounds, and I realized that career was going to end pretty quick.
There was a boys' club, and I went down the very first time I went there. There was a hardwood floor there, basketball court, indoor basketball court. I'd never actually played on one. I just started to shoot baskets and whatever. I went in, I saw that hardwood floor, and I don't know what it is. To this day, I can envision it as though it's right in front of me.
It was actually after watching the movie Jerry Maguire with Tom Cruise, where I realized, wow, there's this whole other side of the business.
Sports was a huge part of my life growing up, my family. I saw what it meant to go to a sporting event and how the experience of sharing the game together with other people could bring you together, even across socioeconomic lines. And I really loved that and kind of fell in love with that fandom.
I didn't know where to start. And at the time, a lot of my friends and classmates were interviewing for these Wall Street jobs. And so I went on one of the interviews and was very quickly romanced by this whole notion of being on Wall Street and doing deals. But it was during that time that I had a childhood friend who was killed in a car accident. And if he were here now, I think he would say, I did what I wanted to do. I figured out who I was, and I pursued those things. At that moment, I kind of made a very about-face shift in the way that I approached my career and I guess myself.
You have to do something you care about, something you have passion for. It's like, I didn't wake up one day and say, oh, I really want to be an investment banker or something like that. It's like, hey, follow your dreams.
Every day is showtime. And it's showtime for the players when they look at you in the locker room, when they look at you in the canteen. It's showtime when you're on camera. And sometimes you have to, in some sense, fake a little bit of showtime.
Displaying weakness is not a good thing. So even if you're not confident, you should act confident. I was confident. I was very confident that we could do it, that we could turn it around, that we could win a championship, and that we could be successful in every way.
You got to keep the whole team motivated. You got to keep the whole team feeling like we're going to get this done, we're going to accomplish this. Building a stadium in California is a difficult exercise. Even though there was one of those 50 or 100 times where I was worried, are we going to be able to get this done? Are we going to overcome this hurdle? I had to be positive, and I had to always exude complete confidence that we were going to get it done. Because if people didn't see it in me, then how are they going to be confident in themselves and what they're doing? It's absolutely paramount.
I'm passionate about it because I want to win. And winning means a lot of different things to me, perhaps. But for those underneath you, that you've got to keep that passion going. Although, to be honest with you, if you're going to come work for us, it's 365, 24/7. I mean, it's all the time. Because that's who we are, that's what we are, and we're all in.
We are out there on the streets, meeting people, knowing their names, showing them that we know who they are by name and that we really appreciate their support. We serve them. We have a duty to them. We owe them big.
For me, that's what I love. I love being out there, being that person who's, kind of the Pied Piper, making everyone, excited about what we're doing and advancing the business and really making it a success.
What success means and how important different things are completely different for every single stakeholder in the ecosystem.
The one thing that actually Coach Walsh used to say, and many years ago, but it's stuck with me every time, is that when things are good and they're praising you, you're never as good as they say you are. And when things are bad and they're criticizing you, you're never as bad as they say you are.
This is an industry sort of like the entertainment industry, but even more than the entertainment industry. You're making decisions in a fishbowl. And everybody's got an opinion, whether it's with facts or without facts. And they will state that opinion in sometimes a measured way, sometimes in an obnoxious way. If you can't take the heat go find another industry.
You can't take stuff personally and you gotta make decisions quickly. But like, the personal thing is a big deal because you're having these interactions, and if you just get bogged down and like, oh my God, I can't believe that person said that or whatever, and you get kind of retaliatory, it's totally ineffective.
How do you make tough decisions that the public doesn't necessarily understand or agree with? And I think that's what leadership is. They don't have all the facts. We're supposed to have all the facts, right? And we're supposed to be able to analyze them correctly. That is what we are supposed to do.
You will be praised sometimes and you will be booed sometimes. And it's really how you handle the situation that is distinctive about leadership, and also about how the fans are going to view you.
Monta Ellis, who's our most popular player, this is really only a year and a half into our ownership. And he was our best player, our most popular player. And in fact, honestly, I was close to him and his wife. And I really loved how hard he played. Having said that, we had a plan. It involved a style of play and organizing, architecting a teamwork, a structure for our team, which we thought would lead to success in the NBA. And that had to do with defense first, prototypical size at every position, and it had to do with a fast-paced style of play. So akin to the Celtics of the 60s, where I grew up, is where it comes from, defensive orientation led by Bill Russell. The 80s, Showtime Lakers, I lived in LA during that period. So those are the two greatest influences for me in basketball. And so I didn't think we could survive, we didn't think we could survive with two small guards, even no matter how good they were. We banked on Steph Curry as the cornerstone of our franchise. He is now, of the 12, 15 players on our roster, the only remaining player from that original team 5 years ago. So that trade for Andrew Bogut, a center, the only way you're going to get a big, great center like that for a small guy is if he's injured or something like that. And so we took that risk. People didn't understand it at the time. I knew they wouldn't. I didn't think I'd get booed. I did, by 20,000 people, and we can talk about that, the effects of that as well. But to go from good to great is not an easy thing to do. And if it was easy, anyone could do it. So you have to make some tough decisions, and we made a tough decision to go out and get the coach, the last piece, if you will, adding to the roster that we had assembled, which was Steve Kerr, who we thought could finally put together not the roster and have it play fully in the type of play that we wanted to play going forward that could win a championship.
I think when Joe Lacob got booed in the retiring the jersey, the immediate reaction was very negative. But he really handled that brilliantly in terms of the next day. He was on the radio, talkback radio, responding to press, and it turned out that the trade actually was a very good trade. That actually was a hallmark of his management talents.
You know, the great thing about being booed or something like that, something really bad happened to you, is that if you then succeed, you look really good. I think failure is really important. You need to fail at some point. You need to know what it feels like, how horrible it feels to fail, to not succeed, to be criticized. And then, you were able to take it the next time. I had a very good idea when we bought a team, how we were going to run the team, what the kind of players, the culture, how we're going to design ourselves, the vision for the basketball part, for the business part. And I'd been an owner at the Celtics for 6 years. I'd seen how the NBA runs. I'd thought about it for a long, long time. And I was a fan, by the way. Every fan thinks they know how to do it better. I thought I could do it better too. And in this case, fortunately, I was able to do it better.
It's a challenging time for the 49ers, given that we were coming off a lot of success. We opened a building in Levi's Stadium, and the team, from a wins and losses standpoint, takes a dip. A lot of people would just tell you maybe that there is some antidote out there and that they say, no, you got to have a thick shell and that it never bothers them. I can't make that statement. I was very much a minority. I didn't play college or NFL football. And so I was viewed skeptically, publicly and inside the building. And so when the team did poorly, then of course I was criticized. Just the experience of having gone through it sort of hardens you a little bit more to it, and to the point where you just sort of get used to it, I guess. But I'll tell you, it comes down to the challenge. The thing that motivates me and inspires me is trying to accomplish a new challenge.
A CEO is not going to be a long-term owner, understands that his job is episodic. There will be episodes at which he may be in a role as a CEO. There may be episodes in which he's been a role in business development. Given the long time periods often to get stadiums up, you have to have a perception of confidence, maybe audacity, to sort of say this challenge is in fact doable.
And people kept asking me, what % chance do you think this thing's gonna work? Is it like 10%? And I always said, it's 100%. It's 100% gonna work. Because you have to almost convince yourself and rationalize that, hey, this is such a complicated and difficult thing, but we need to find a way to power through, to motivate your team. We wanted to build one of the best stadiums in all Major League Soccer of the world. We wanted to build it here in Silicon Valley with an innovative, great fan experience, and we wanted to put a team in there that was gonna compete for championships with the Earthquakes. When we were building the stadium, and we had to delay it another year because we found issues with the site itself, because this was an old tank factory, so there was bunkers and underground vaults, and then the community group had opposed it here in San Jose, so we had to go through an appeal, and the community here is like, are you ever gonna build this stadium? And I'm the kind of the front person of this entire thing. And so that was really hard to manage through. It was hard to convince my staff to follow me through that really difficult time. But I think at the end of the day, we had a clear vision of what we wanted to do.
When we were at Candlestick Park, we just weren't able to compete economically with some of the teams that had newer stadiums. The effort to build a stadium, that was a 6, 8, 10-year effort of finding the right place to do it, working with the municipality, financing, marketing, selling, designing the stadium, all of that. And it was a $1.3 billion stadium.
What we call the in-stadium experience is something that is going under a lot of transformation.
How does the in-stadium environment compete with the couch? It's really great to watch the NFL from your couch. The picture is great, it's easy to follow the game, the concessions are a lot cheaper, the bathroom's a lot cleaner, it's easier to get to, and it takes 3.5 hours instead of 5.5 hours. Hockey, more than any other major sport, there is no question about it, the live experience is paramount. The home experience, the TV experience cannot compete with the live experience. And so as things become more accessible on demand, that live experience creates even more of a premium.
It used to be one end of the spectrum was the at-home experience, at the other end of the spectrum was the at-stadium experience. And what we're seeing now is the morphing of the two. So what goes on in the stadium is attempting to address what are some of the benefits at home, whether it's quick delivery of the foods, no lines for the bathroom, availability of replays. So all the stadiums are trying to design themselves so that they're a lot more flexible for the entertainment experience.
You have to know the customer. You have to know what it means to be a fan. What does a fan really want? Does a fan want Wi-Fi, or does he want an actual app that enables you to get in the stadium quicker and find out where the restrooms are and where the food is? He wants the app. He doesn't care about the Wi-Fi. So I think a lot of times stadiums are built, they're just checking all these boxes in terms of like, oh, it has the fastest Wi-Fi, or it has, the nicest club seats. What people really want is the experiences. That's why they pay top dollar for these things. And so when I really looked at what we did with the stadium, is we were very experiential driven.
It's a very big business, and these teams have really started to proliferate in terms of asset value, as you've seen certainly in the last 5 or 6 years. And that's because you're seeing these teams being run like efficient businesses, much more so than you did a decade ago.
Don't mistake that these are real businesses that require hard skills. And to the extent that you can demonstrate that you have those hard skills, I think you can really differentiate yourself. You can't just find your way through because you love Michael Jordan. It's just not enough.
A lot of times when people talk about analytics, they're really only talking about on the field, on the court, on the ice. But there's also the business side of analytics that has also taken off in sports. Traditional industries have been doing it for 100 years. And sports really has only been focused on it over the last decade or so. And I'm talking about measuring the lifetime value of a customer, understanding how to market to your fans, understanding how to price your building, understanding new opportunities to what businesses you might enter, how you do your merchandising, all of those things.
Hockey lagged behind the other leagues in this idea of numbers-driven, analytics-driven decision-making. There was kind of a lot of white space to play. Of course, there's risk there too. It's easier to go into an environment where there's other people like you. It's harder to be on the leading edge, but I was excited by that white space.
I would say most people probably looked at me and said, he's a little bit of a gut shooter, maybe not as analytical. I think that's actually totally not true. I think the truth is that I'm very analytical. I believe very much in the data. Get the data, analyze the data, work speedily. It's an entrepreneurial kind of attitude about our organization, the way we run our business. We encourage very strong debate. But then, it's my job to make the decision. I certainly listen most of the time to what the group decides, and then we just do it and we go. So I do think that is what's different. That's what separates. That's the Silicon Valley way, the entrepreneur way. That is not the big company way. And I think that I have gotten from being in the Valley for 30 some odd years.
I have an entrepreneurial background. For me, that's what is exciting, the challenge, the fact that we are a challenger, that it's hard. For me, soccer is kind of a perfect sport because it's not figured out yet in the United States. We're kind of the young, hip, energized sport that's connected to the millennial and the Generation Z, the younger folks. And I think as the country continues to change and kind of there's almost a new America that's coming with people who are more international and global in their focus, this can be the sport for them. For the broader community in the sports world, people kind of know that and they sense it's coming. And so they want to be a part of the growth and the excitement of what that means.
It is absolutely, in every sense of the word, a startup. And we've had all the same ups and downs, roller coasters. That's what the last year and a half starting this has been like. We sold out our opening night game. Turns out it was the hottest day in San Diego, like ever. The building is really hot. Around game time, you start to see the kind of ice start melting, fog starts rising. By the middle of the first period, we were actually stopping the game intermittently to let the fog rise so that the players could see. Just never in a million years did we plan for fog. I think this is just a good kind of archetype of the way we try to operate as a startup. With each success or with each failure, I'm energized by the opportunity to grow and do better.
I only have 2 jobs. That's why I like to say 1 is to create a vision for the organization, and 2 is hire the very best people you could possibly hire, have them hire the best people they can hire under them. That's, management 101, and let them do their jobs. Having great guys, great women, great character out there matters. When the chips are down and things aren't going well, you want someone who's out there who's smart, who's a good teammate. All those things matter. If it's not there, the others sense it and it's not going to go well. There isn't one person on our team that I wouldn't want to go to dinner with or have my kids hang out with. And you know what? Here's another thing. From a business perspective, if you're a fan, who do you want to go pay to see play? It's not just the players that are really good at what they do, but people you can believe in. Steph Curry, of course, is the ultimate in this regard.
And the culture we've created here and the head coach we have in Dominic Kinnear, it is focused on the team as opposed to just individual players. And I think that culture is attractive to a lot of fans. That's the type of ethos we want. Team first. It means something. There's integrity. There's values associated with it. In this day and age in sports, a lot of that's been lost.
The really good managers make the time and make the effort to really understand how the pieces come together. And it's manageable. But a lot of people don't do it because they think it's beneath them.
There is this misguided, in my opinion, idea, and this drives me crazy. Oh, well, that owner should stay out of the way. He should not meddle. But this idea of meddling is just wrong. What they should be saying is micromanagement is a bad thing. Let people do their jobs. Stay out of the way. But meddling implies that you're trying to get information or be involved in all the different areas of the business, and that's not a good thing. I believe exactly the opposite. Any small business, and this is really small business, this is not, a mega corporation. The leader, the owner, they should be involved in everything. They should know what's going on. They're going to do a better job. They should know their fan base. They should know all the numbers. They should know all the people that work there. They should know the players. They should understand the implications of a trade of assets.
I've had a very open and transparent management style with everyone associated with the club. Fans, players, front office employees, ownership, anyone. And one way that's really manifested itself is that every Tuesday from 3 to 5, I have office hours. And people, anyone, can come in off the street and talk to me about any concerns they have. I have met with people who, want me to buy insurance. I've met with people who want a job. I've met with folks who just want to talk about how their father loved the earthquakes back in 1976. And so it's a wide variety of interactions, and it keeps me connected with the pulse of the team. When you're building culture, you have to have actual things people can point to, like almost like a lighthouse. Like my office hours have become a lighthouse for people to understand what our culture is. It's like if Dave Cavill, the president of the Earthquakes, will meet with anyone at any time, if I'm in fan relations and I tell a person who I'm selling tickets to, no, I'm not gonna meet with you, it doesn't jibe up.
I try to spend time working with people at every level, intern, street team, mascot, all the way up to the senior leaders of our organization. I work hand in hand with them at their job whenever I can. I'll count merchandise. I'll balance the cash register. I'm up there with our play-by-play guy. I will spend time on the headset kind of calling the game. I answer every email that I get. And so there is nothing that I would ask someone to do on our team that I wouldn't do myself. And they know that, not because I say it, but because I do it.
You gotta be all in. There's no way to kind of have one foot in the canoe. You're always kind of connected to what's happening in your role as the president of the Earthquakes. It's just part of who you are. It's very connected to your identity. And that's just the only way to do it and be successful. Because like I said, if you're really trying to kind of have one foot in the canoe, it's very hard to find success. And I think the strain that creates is just not something that's healthy.
For me, I think the change sort of came when my wife and I found out we were pregnant. My career and my job for, at that point, 14 years or 15 years in at the 49ers, it defined who I was. Like, I was my job, and I lived it. In the same way I ate sports for breakfast when I was a kid, like that's just what I did. It was who I was. And then certainly when Juniper was born, I realized that the job is just what I do, and who I am is a father and a husband and being at home. It really sort of hit me like an epiphany. I had combined those two for so long, and now there's a clear separation. It hasn't changed my passion at work, but it's certainly changed me.
They want to see passion, they want to see energy, but they don't want to see obsession, because obsession can become too narrow in the sense that when you lose, which every team does, that everybody gets devastated. The idea is to make the lows less and keep some of the euphoria for the high. I think that's the real art of management in the sporting industry. When you're riding so high, the biggest danger is complacency. That you accept the fact that you are number one and believe that there's not much to stop you from being number one. That's not true. I mean, horse racing thought that, boxing thought that, and look where they are now. So I think you have to be forever vigilant and also seek new mountains.
Each experience fills me with this desire to do it again, do it differently, repeat our success. I never sit back at the end of the night and say, well, we won 2-0 and we did X, Y, Z in attendance, and I feel great. Frankly, I wish I could do that a little bit more, but I recognize things and see opportunities, and there's so much left to do. There's so much of the story yet to be written.
You'll have a nice run of success and you'll have your droughts, and you just have to continue to plant the seeds during the drought, hoping that when they do blossom again, that they blossom for a long time.
I feel a great sense of pride in what we've built here, because it was something that when I came here in 2010, this wasn't necessarily just going to happen. And so when I look at the stadium behind me and I think about the team we've created, that brings a smile to my face thinking about it, because it was really hard and we did find success. Now we can focus on a lot of these second order issues like getting great young talent and developing American players and winning another MLS championship. Over the last 5 years, we just had to pull ourselves up to that point so we could even have this conversation. But for us, we're super excited to be able to take that next step.
Maybe some people would be satisfied. They won the championship, they're done, move on to the next thing. The thing is, I think the great task for me right now and for us is sustainability. Can we do it again, and maybe even again and again? Can we be continually great? Can we be good for a long time? That's the real test, is can you be good for a long time? I think we can.
Victorious. In this day and age, I got time for innovation, time to be creative, time too big to waste on my time on critics hating, flattered by your opinions to show you I'll just embrace it. Now watch a worldly sunrise up, no daylight savings, go nuts when I have to. Glaze bet my sound in this beats on the house that we dreaming. Watch me way back up in the castle, my thoughts are distorted, cause I recall guys were hating uncommonly, all of them became common denominators. Hold up. Try to overlook a rival, all eyes on me cause I got no competition. Now looking at an idol, your dough ain't long enough to pay for my attention. Try to overlook a rival, all eyes on me cause I got no competition. Now looking at an idol, your dough ain't long enough to pay for my attention.